This is a short tutorial on how to refuel and defuel the Blackbird C-130J. There are basically two ways to add or remove fuel. One is using the SPR, that single point refueling system. This works exactly how the real aircraft works, and as such, it's not instant. It takes a couple of steps. And the way the valves and fuel quantity sensing system works, it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to get an exact fuel amount to the pound loaded. If that's something you want or need, or if you want to do it almost instantly, you can just hit the tab key to call up the default sim tablet, and you can add or remove fuel instantly. That will work at all times, on the ground or in the air. To do it realistically, though, we're going to use the SPR system. In previous versions of the C-130, there was an SPR panel on the exterior of the plane next to the refueling port. But in the J, that panel doesn't exist, and it's all done from the cockpit. That means that the first thing we need to do is establish AC power, either using external power or the APU. Right now, we have the aircraft on external power. Normally, we add fuel in the order of outer wing tanks, inner wing tanks, 500 to 1,000 pounds less in each than in the outer wing tank, then the aux tanks, and then finally the external tanks. So for this flight, I want full internal fuel and 6,000 pounds in the external tanks. First things first, I need to add the external fuel tanks, if needed, to the aircraft because they're currently not fitted. I know that because I'm seeing dashes where the fuel quantity would display. So I go to the tablet and select the fuel tab, then select Use External Tanks. Now you can see that the external fuel tank quantity gauges are alive, both on the fuel management panel and on the system status page. The next step is to set the desired fuel quantity. This is the quantity in each tank, plus or minus 200 pounds, at which the fuel level control valve will automatically shut off. When the tank select switch is turned away from off, the values initialize to their defaults. We can see that the main tank 2 is between 500 and 1,000 pounds than main tank 1, and the same thing with 3 and 4. This is what we want as it reduces wing flex and resulting stresses on the main spar. The default values for the external tanks are 8,800 pounds, and we want 3,000 pounds. Let's set that using the tank select knob and the quantity set knob, and then return the tank select knob to active. Now we're ready to fuel. Let's go to the tablet and call the fuel truck. On the tablet, select Call Fuel Truck. We then get a slider allowing us to set the desired fueling rate. The default is 2,500 pounds per minute, which is a ballpark value for most machinery, but you can tweak it or speed up the process a lot by setting the slider all the way to the right. Set nominal fueling rate. We can now open up the valves to all the tanks we want to fill. Open fueling valves 2 by pressing the 2 buttons, and we open the cross-ship valve. The last thing we do is to open the SPR valve, which connects the SPR manifold to the cross-ship manifold. We can see that the fuel has started to enter the tanks. Once we see that fuel is flowing, normal procedure is to initiate the FLCV test. This will open and close the shutoff valves in certain configurations and verify that the fuel flow to each tank starts and stops when it should. If there is any abnormality found, you'll get an ACAUS message. When each tank shuts off, you'll get a tank shutoff ACAUS advisory. On the button panel, you don't need to do anything. On the knob panel, you should return the knob to the off position. This is for the knob panel only. Once all tanks have shut off the cross-ship valve and the close SPR valve and cancel the fuel truck. Bye-bye. When main tank 3 is not full, you can start the SPR drain pump to pump the remaining fuel in the SPR manifold directly into main tank 3. The pump will automatically shut off after a roughly 3-minute cycle. To defuel, the process is the reverse of fueling. First, set the desired fuel quantities on the fuel management panel. Next, call the fuel truck. Set the fuel transfer rate to 0 all the way left. Now turn on the transfer pumps from all the tanks you want to remove fuel from and open the cross-ship valve. Open the SPR valve to pump fuel out of the tank to the fuel truck. Unlike fueling, there's no slider to control the defueling rate. You're limited to the realistic rate provided by the transfer pumps. To prevent accidentally killing an engine by transferring or dumping a tank dry, about 1,500 pounds in each main tank, the actual amount depends on wing flex, isn't accessible to the transfer pump. If you need to remove absolutely everything from one of the 4 main tanks, you can do that using the tank boost pump. Turn the engine start switch to run. This activates the boost pump. Next, open the crossfeed valve to allow the fuel to boost pressure into the cross-ship manifold. That's it for this video.